Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. This week, we will talk about the conditional promise to purchase. Stay with us until the end. You don't want to miss this. Chris, the conditional promise to purchase is a key step in a home buying process that sets the framework for the agreement between the buyer and the seller. This legal document includes essential elements such as the property's identification, price, payments terms, condition of sale, and timelines. It ensures that both parties agree on crucial aspects of the transactions, like pre-purchase inspections, the update certificate of location, and legal warranties. If any specified conditions are unmet, the agreement can be nullified. And my first question to you is, now or in the past, have you done a conditional promise to purchase?
Yep. Yeah. And we've definitely done a few of them through the years, both working for sellers and buyers. Haven't done any lately.
Not in this market.
Not in this market, I'll tell you. And you know what? So the conditional, it really boils down to the question of buy first, sell first.
Yep.
Like really the whole reason these kind of exist is I want to buy a home. Do I sell my property first, or do I buy a property first? And a lot of people, my home will sell, no problem. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It'll sell, no problem. But I'm really picky. So, or I don't need to move, but if the right property came on, then I'd move. It tends to put people into a trap.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. Yeah. Because there's a couple things with that. So just to be clear, the conditional promise to purchase is really a Dragos, I want your property. It's listed for sale. I'm going to put in an offer on it. And so long as I sell my property, which is going to be no problem, then we're good. So I'm putting that in as an additional condition.
Exactly.
So the problem with that, though, is first off, I'm interested in your property. Means your property is attractive enough and priced well enough that it's getting an offer. And if I'm interested in it at this price and what it looks like, then there's a good chance somebody else is going to be as well. And say you've been on the market for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. You are 2 weeks or 3 weeks ahead of me because I'm not on the market yet, or possibly not on the market yet. Unfortunately, too often not on the market yet. When I go in with this offer, you, or at the very least, your realtor is going to be saying, well, they need to get it on right away. So now I've got to do a whole bunch of marketing work, 2 weeks worth of marketing work in zero time, basically. So I'm going to go to market fast with no prep, not ready, photos not ready, all of this other stuff. And I better then be ready to put it on for a low price.
That's the point. Exactly.
Yeah. And that's really the trigger of it, right? Like I got to be either willing to pay more than a fair market value for your property or sell mine for under market value in order to see a really quick sale because I didn't get all the other stuff set in. And that's kind of the unfortunate crux of it. Another big crux of it is, say I was smart, and I always tell my clients to do this if they're looking at it, get everything ready. So you are 100% ready to go on to market tomorrow, fully prepped. All the marketing materials are done, everything. Like all I got to do is hit go. So say you are right there and everything else is good to go. Got the offer written on your property. I've got my financing condition and I've got my home inspection condition on your property, as well as the sale of home. You're still marketing your property. You get another offer the day after mine came through. What normally would be a week, 10 days, 2 weeks for me to fulfill my conditions, I now have whatever is on our agreement, which is usually a 24 or 48 hour. I call it a put up or shut up clause. So basically my put up is, okay, I I didn't have time to fulfill my financing condition, so I'm going to take a chance, which is a very big chance. And I do not have time to get a home inspection on it. So I'm doing it without both those conditions because that is part of the agreement. My put up or shut up is another offer came through with 10 days to get their financing and their home inspection done. I offered yesterday, but I now have no time to do it. I've got 24 hours to just put up or shut up. It's a tricky one.
Yeah.
Puts the buyer behind the 8 ball in more ways
Yeah.
than they realize 90%
Yeah.
of the time.
Yeah. And in Quebec, you have the right of first refusal, which is exactly what you explained, which is called like that.
Yeah, that's what it is, really.
And the way it works, let's say you are my client. You want to buy a home. I say, I want to work with you. Do you want to work with me? You say, yes, go. I'm your broker. We find a home you have your home. Let's buy this one and put yours for sale. Yeah. So in the offer, we'll offer conditions like any other offer, inspection, financing, and we'll have the right of the first refusal. Let's say another person makes an offer on the same property you made an offer.
Yeah.
In Quebec, they will have, let's say, 10 days, because if they have 10 days, 12 days, 14 days for their conditions, whatever days they have, they will have those 14 days. And at the end of the 14 days, everything is good, and they can buy the property. Then you will have a message. Okay, and in Quebec we have a company that does that. It's really, really nice. Not like someone calls or an email. It's a company. You pay for it, and they get you a first refusal clause. You have 72 hours. It can be negotiated, but usually 72 hours. That you have to provide even financing or proof that you have the money to buy it. It doesn't work like, okay, I'm going to buy it. Yeah. You have to have the proof.
Right.
You can buy it, financing or the money in account. And you have to waive your inspection, right? But before doing that, a lot of people, like, let's say you would have already started the inspection process and the financing process when you made an offer. Because usually the second offer will come after a day, 3, 4, 7, you understand? Not necessarily the same day. So now there's 2 buyers that did inspections and started their financing process, and only one will buy. That's another, problem that I see here.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does put things into a bit of a crux, It really does. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes it's tickety-boo. But I would say the majority of times it doesn't. It is not.
It doesn't.
The way the buyers,
especially in this market, it doesn't. You shouldn't you shouldn't accept.
Very, very few happen in a market.
Of course,
like this. Very, very
few.
Where it's stronger sellers market, but in a weak sellers market, and this is the other thing to consider that with that. In a weak sellers market, it happens more often, but that buyer is a seller as well, or they wouldn't be putting in this clause. So it's a tough one, right? And nobody wants to be homeless, so they don't want to necessarily list their property first. But pretty typically, you have one property to sell and a multitude to choose from. It's just a matter of getting that right one. So the odds are typically in the favor of you buying versus you selling. And that's where I'm not saying don't do it, but if you do it, be properly prepped for it. Have everything bing, bang, boom, ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
And I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it straight up front. Suck up your ego. Your house probably isn't quite as attractive as you think it is. And it's probably not worth quite as much as you think it is.
Yeah.
Because when you've got this clause on there, you have to be ready to accept that that's the fact a lot quicker than normally when you're just listing it and getting a whole bunch of people through before reality kind of sets in. Because typically that kind of is the way it is. Unfortunately. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem, no problem, no problem. And I'm talking like they said, no problem. You know, the
Yeah.
guys. and,
Yeah.
and also, you can jinx it. You can jinx it when you're too tight to sell it. You can jinx your sale or have like 20,000 less.
Yeah.
That's something that it's not acknowledged or official, but this is the way life works and success principles. You will jinx your sale if you're too tight.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's go with the definition. So a conditional promise to purchase is a formal agreement between the buyer and the seller that includes specific condition for completing the transaction. Now, a promise to purchase, naked promise to purchase, okay, it is a conditional promise to purchase because it has conditions like inspection, financing, whatever reports, whatever, okay? Sewers, whatever, scope, whatever you put in it. It is a conditional. But what we talk about today, it's the conditional promise to purchase that is when you want to buy a home and you have to sell yours before completing the transaction. Okay? Just want to make sure everybody understands. So the essential elements, it's property identification and details, obviously, like the regular promise to purchase. The price and payment terms, inspection and financial, obviously, like the regular promise to purchase, deadlines for meeting the conditions and acceptance, legal warranty, and seller obligation. More so, you will also have, and I want to show this to people. So this is the conditional promise to purchase. You also have the right of the first refusal clause that we talked about and we detailed in the past 10 minutes. So that's another condition that may be found in a promise to purchase, that the purchase is conditional upon the sale of the buyer's property within a certain period of time. Okay. To address this, buyer can include a companion clause, the right of first refusal clause that gives the seller the right to continue marketing the property. Okay? Because there are conditional promise to purchase that binds the seller and the buyer together without the right of the first refusal clause. I already saw that in my career. So the buyer will say, I want to buy your home and I want to have it exclusively mine for 3 months. If I can't sell my home for 3 months, then you can put it back on the market. That's another variation. And I want to hear your opinion on it. My opinion is, as a seller, you never do that. Like, you block your home for 3 months. But I just want to hear your thoughts on it also.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, I could see actually where that would be handy and helpful, and maybe actually even good for both. If you own that house and you just weren't quite ready to sell yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to be listing it coming up probably in a few months. Yeah. Actually, I could definitely see where that would come in handy for some people, because I got to tell you, one of the spots where two spots where people are most likely to overpay for a property. We'll talk about two of them. There's probably a small handful, but COVID, definitely one. Multiple offer situations, where it's like crazy. Where it's a friend buying another friend's property.
Oh yeah. And I know another one after that.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that one in a second, because I've got my I can't talk about the details of it, but I know of a property where they were buying from a friend. It's gorgeous, beautiful home, gorgeous, absolutely most magnificent home ever. And I was doing the market evaluation for it. It was part of the financing conditions. So you guys are way overpaying for this property, and they would do nothing but justify how gorgeous this house is. It's like, well, a slightly different house to the same levels that is on the lake versus you guys that are a block away from the lake is almost the exact same price. Like, I can't believe it, but they're like adamantly defying this. In a situation kind of like that, where it's like, it's not listed for sale yet, somebody really wants this property, but the market hasn't shown that this is way too big of an asking price and these guys really want it. A situation like that probably would, because like, yeah, I'll hold off for a bit. Not necessarily going to keep this forever,
Yeah.
but I'll hold off for a bit because that's a damn premium price for that
Exactly.
home. So that
Yeah,
probably
you're
actually would be
overpaying by
good.
50,000, so I'm gonna hold for 6 months.
Yeah, right. And it does happen. Like these things do happen. It's not typical, but they do happen. And then the other one where people will tend to overpay is on these conditional clauses. Because, okay, so Dragus, you've got your house for sale. I'm the buyer. I'm going in, but I got to list mine first. So I'm going to lock you down into this right now before somebody else comes in and gets it. And then I got to put my property up for sale, which means I'm locking you in at say you've been on the market for 2 weeks. But now we're another, say, 3 weeks or 4 weeks where I'm getting mine sold and you're still locked in with me and I'm still locked in with you while mine goes up for sale because now I'm behind the eight ball. If you weren't already with an offer on your property and you hadn't received another offer other than mine, you'd probably price reduce.
Yeah.
But you're probably not going to now because you've got an offer on the property.
Yeah.
So if I listed mine for sale and waited and then yours was still for sale, I'd probably be offering on a lower and after more time in the market. So really, I've kind of overpaid for yours versus what I would have gotten it for originally. That's 2 occasions where I see where people would potentially overpay for a property. Ironically, both tied into that because I've offered you a conditional right of first refusal on this. 2 spots where that's likely to come into play.
Yeah. Great.
Weird.
It's very good. It's very good. And also the third situation is for sale by owners.
Yeah.
This is, I don't know here, but in Quebec, it's about 30% of the market. I know Alberta is not that. I think we already talked about it. It's huge in Quebec. 30%. It's huge.
Yeah.
Here, I believe like 8, 9, probably, because it's less than 10% in most of Canada. But Quebec is 30. We're really special there. And what I find funny is that when I was visiting with buyers, they would be so like, yeah, we should pay $80,000 less, and you go and fight for us, $80,000 less, and it's worth it. I'm not going to pay more than that. And the same people going to for sale by owners on property over evaluated about 80,000 and paying 80,000 more. It's like sometimes and a lot of times that happen. Not to me, but I can count, let's say 20 in my 15 years of real estate, 20, 30, even more. It's too much. People paying anywhere from 30,000 to 80,000 more. Okay. Than the same house on a market listed with a real estate broker.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is, and in that situation, they will not negotiate 50,000 less, 80,000 because they're afraid to negotiate.
Yeah.
So they we're gonna overpay. See, this is like the proverb with the after the war, everyone is a brave,
Yeah. Well, and it is funny because I mean, as much as I don't want to admit this, that is the case with for sale by owners. It tends to be kind of either one or the other, right? They're
because the sellers, because if you are the sale by owner, your personality goes with selling and confronting and negotiating. And you got 90% of the buyers or 95, which are not confronting and negotiating.
Yeah.
So they have to pay if they like it.
And quite often they don't have their own representation.
Exactly. Of course, they don't have their own representation.
Yeah. So the for sale by owners tend to either really undersell because they don't hit the market.
Exactly.
They don't get that broad market, or they oversell because just like you said.
Exactly. That's my point.
They got a dominant, overbearing personality over top of a not so one who's not represented. By somebody who's looking after their best interests and will pull up those comps and everything else. So I don't want to admit that, but for sale by owners will quite often go for either more or less.
More or less, exactly. It's very rare the market price.
Yeah,
it's not funny, but it's funny when you think about it.
Yeah.
Chris, about this subject with the conditional promise to purchase, I did every point. Do you have something else to add?
No, I don't think so. Just think it through. Talk about your realtor. Talk about it to your realtor. Um, More often than not, like I said, we talk to a lot of people that are like, "Yeah, my property is great and it will sell for top dollar." Well, if it's great, it'll sell for its value, not necessarily for top dollar. You know what I mean? Like just
Yeah,
balance those things out. So get
I know
some
very well.
objective opinions. Yeah, and know as well that most people aren't quite as picky as they think they are. Like once they
Yeah,
actually start going out there and start
yeah,
actually
it's
getting
true.
excited, then yeah, things start that those really, really important things, they kind of drop by the wayside because they find that they weren't really quite as important. And so more houses fill those potentials as possible. But either way, make sure your realtor knows well in advance and the property is 100% ready to go. Because if you do find that property and it'll happen unexpectedly, you got to be ready to get yours on the market immediately.
Yeah,
But properly.
yeah,
And most people
that's true.
don't have that 2 to 3 weeks prep time in there that we really need to get it done properly.
Yeah, yeah,
Properly.
yeah. When I was a real estate broker and someone wanted to buy a home and have a home to sell, I was explaining that, and thank God, most of the time, 95, whatever, most of the time, we would start listing the home and start the visits in the same time.
Yeah.
You understand? So I would do like, I would tell them we can visit this week. If you know, like you get the feeling like, are you ready or not to buy something? If you got the feeling you're ready, then we will start listing your home. And the listing process will take maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks, photos, everything. Like we have the seller declaration. It's a lot of papers, plus the week that we did a few visits. So before your property is on the market, we got like 3 weeks, and in those 3 weeks, we visited probably 10, 12, 15 properties, 20 properties. So by that time, the properties, boom, comes on the market. You're ready to make an offer. That's
Really is the best way to
the
do it.
best, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Sir.
So now let's go to the rent. We got two subjects. I know we talked about the rent in Calgary a lot, but I found this article, which is a few days ago, and I wanted to finish the year with the rent in Calgary. Why? Because rent jumps by nearly 9% after double-digit growth the previous year. Yeah. And I remember you were telling me that in the last podcast that Calgary had rent increases all over the place, sometimes $600 and $700 a month.
Yeah.
And see here, the average cost of 2-bedroom apartment in the city is 8.9% higher in October of this year compared to 1 year earlier. Okay. And rent in city soared by 14.3% from October 22 to 23. So if we add up 22 to 24, it's close to 30%.
Yeah, that's scary.
30%, Chris. And it's not like 3% out of 18 cents. It's 30%. That's 30 out of what? 1,500, 2,000. Yeah. So that's what you're getting when you're telling me $600-700 a month. Because at the beginning I was like, are you sure? But now with these numbers, $600-700 a month in Calgary rent increase, it's possible. And like I said, it's scaring. And let's change the city in Alberta, in Edmonton. So here is another problem, right? Low-income Edmontonians is being squeezed out of highly pressurized rental market. So households earning less than $38,000 have access to about 6% of rental units. Okay. So basically, what this article says is that we're seeing sort of an impact of the strength of demand in this market tightening and rent increases ultimately even all the way down to the sort of the lowest rent ranges. And that's having an impact on what people can afford. Okay. So my question, and I want to hear your point about this. This is not like a problem that we have. Let's say, okay, this is a high-end rent, $2,000, increased by 30%. It's 2,600. So what, man? You have a family, you're making like 240,000 with your family, like whatever. It's not. Let's not cry. Let's, like, there's other countries with bigger problems at $600. But the problem goes, like I just showed you, to a low rent. You understand?
Yeah.
Like even the low rents, like $800, $900, $1,000, like wood frame with no insulation, with noises everywhere. Even those are getting so high that the low income Edmontonians are being squeezed out.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to hear your points about those type of markets. Like Calgary, you got one problem. Edmonton, you got another problem about the rent.
Yeah. Well, and frankly, I'm a little surprised to see that. Not so much for last year's numbers. That sounds pretty bang on. I'm surprised to see it that high for this year's numbers, though.
Yeah.
What we had been seeing is more of a quelling and a moderation. And it talked about the 2-bedroom apartments and that sort of thing versus kind of the lower priced homes. Because that I have noted, or at least I've been around anywhere where there's more of the, I'm just going to call them slumlords. There's more of the slumlords. Like we're hearing more and more of this where they're cramming as many units or as many bedrooms as possible. And that's been a bit of a highlight over the last.
That's my point. That's what I thought you're going to answer, because that's why I see a big problem.
Yeah, and that I could definitely see, because
with fire, with not only like hygiene, but also like security wise.
Well, just horrible living situations. You're sharing one bedroom with like 6 other, suites, like tenanted spots, because
they have flats now. It's a big trend here. The flats, like you got an apartment, and you got like 6 rooms with 6 bedrooms, bathrooms in front, and you got a living room and a kitchen. Canada. Man, it's
boarding houses, basically.
Exactly.
And it's not even so much the boarding houses that I think are the big issue. It's the illegal quasi boarding houses. I don't know. We've just been hearing too many stories lately of you got a single family home. I could turn that into 8 bedrooms in the basement.
It's not funny.
No, but I mean. It's like it's common, right? And they're charging exorbitant rents on a per square foot or per unit basement. There is because people they need a place to live. This is the choice. Like this becomes kind of their only choice, because an actual apartment that they pay way less on a per square foot basis, if you want to look at that, is just it's out of the reach, because that $400 a month is unsurmountable. That's the difference between 400 eating or 400 not eating. It's sad. It is what it is. It's sad.
Yeah, it is. It is, Chris. It is. I wanted to show you these articles, and I wanted to finish with hope. So a few days ago, this came out. Housing starts rise from last month, up 8% in November. So CMHC says the annual pace of housing starts in November rose 8% compared with October, helped by strength in multi-unit starts in Quebec, Alberta, and BC.
Yeah.
So that's the we're gonna wrap up with this. Do you believe that those housing starts? We talked about housing starts. Now I want to see it from the point of view of, will that help low-income renters? Okay, we talked about a lot of things, but for the low income, I want to talk about now. Do you believe, because housing starts usually it will not be a low-end wood frame, noisy, building.
Yeah.
It's buildings that will require probably 1,500 at least, for 2 bedroom, even if it's smaller. In other words, housing starts, yes, but do you believe we're going to see like $800, $900 a month rents that are pleasant to live in, or this time it's finished forever? That's my point. That's my question.
I hate to say this, but I think those days are gone. Yeah, I mean, they need to come up. I think the reality is, in order for all of this sort of thing to happen, where it would actually make more sense, is they need to start bringing in more smart building processes.
Yeah.
Where we're not forsaking size or quality for the price,
Yeah,
but they're forsaking the style that they're built in.
Exactly.
Yeah, like, good God, if Amazon can build warehouses where I can get basically anything I could possibly think of within a day delivered to my house from this giant warehouse, bloody hell if they can't start manufacturing homes in factories that are better quality, more affordable,
You nailed it.
better insulation value, like just
You
everything
nailed it.
better
Exactly.
all around.
That's a big, if not the best solution.
Yeah, I really do think it is. I think we
Like
just
IKEA home, you buy a box, you bring it home, you bring it on your lot, and then you fix it there.
Right. What are all these extra parts?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, I really find that funny because I'm staring at a bin over there that's about this big of all the IKEA extra parts that I've got.
I get it now.
I shudder if that's a house, but yes, I mean, in essence, basically, yeah, there's so many sustainable materials and processes and just quality of precision that you can get in a factory that you can't get with a build on site.
No,
it just
exactly.
it really would make sense that more of it goes that way. Why we haven't gone there yet, I don't quite know, but
I believe because that will end the problem. So there will be no more problem to talk about it and divide about it and tax and I'm not saying this is 100%, but it is a big percentage.
Right.
It is a big percentage. To move people, you have to you have to attract them or something, or scare them or something.
Right. Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. True.
Because just simple. We have the biggest, other than Russia, but Russia still, has still very colder than we here, in Siberia and Yakutsk and all that. So we have such a immense, huge land, and we got the fewest homes per capita out of the G7.
Yeah,
and by far, it's a shame. It's not like even close. Why? Plus, we have our methods are so like eco-friendly compared to other countries. So I don't understand why we don't build. Just build. What's the problem? Just build. What is the problem?
There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
So we'll figure it out eventually. Hopefully.
Exactly. Chris, we done it again. I have everything that I did every point that I had to do. And do you have something else to add?
Sure. It's just always a pleasure, and always a pleasure to be here with you fine folks.
That's great. Me too. Always a pleasure. And if you got some important subjects to you can leave it in a chat, in the comments, and we will do it, obviously. And if it's your first time seeing this show, please like and subscribe. And I would also like to say thank you for your support and your listening. And we will see each other next week. Have a great day.
See you guys.